Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Brad Anderson. I'm the Director of Education for eXp Realty International Corporation, and today it's my privilege and honor to welcome my guest, President Jason Gesing. How you doing, Jason? Great to have you joining me today.
Hey.
How are you?
Good morning, Brad. I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for taking time today. So I want to dive right in. Normally I would ask you how the weather is in your beautiful part of the country, but I think we should just kick this right off. Today's topic is going to be eXp Realty brokerage model explained. And you know, a lot of times I get questions about what you feel is the most compelling feature about this eXp model. So I would like to ask you that very question. What do you believe is the most compelling feature of eXp Realty's model?
Well, the company, Brad's been around now for 5 years, and I think for a lot of that time, the focus was on the sort of unique way in which we do business, right? We sort of operate by avatar. We have an avatar likeness, each of us does. We've got, agents coming in every day, and they're going onto our cloud campus where there are amphitheaters, meeting spaces, staff, and just peers in different markets from around North America with whom they can meet and learn things from and share, collaborate, and really get to know on a personal and professional level. And I think that was the focus for a very long time, a technologically heavy approach to the business that was going to create some efficiencies that we could pass on to the agents. But I think today, and ever since October 2013, what distinguishes us most and what I think is most compelling is the fact that we are agent owned. So in October of 2013, we became a public company. And we did that out of recognition of the fact that agents and brokers, and it doesn't matter what brokerage we're talking about, they are the underpinnings. They are the most valuable asset of any brokerage. They're the ones who are out there driving the customer relationships. They're the ones who are bringing in the revenues. They are the trusted resource in their community. And so for us, it really just made sense for them to be the owners of the brokerage. And so as a result, they are, we'll probably get into it a little bit later, but there are ways in which our agents, just by being good agents, doing what good agents are going to do, can earn public shares of stock. But where it really becomes evident in terms of how different it is just in the way in which we approach the business. And so all of a sudden now we've got people who are really supporting one another in a way that is enhanced by and incentivized by ownership. The fact that we're all fellow shareholders, celebrating each other's successes rather than competing for them. And you see that. You see people, whether they joined us recently or they joined us years ago, right from the beginning, they really want to contribute to the company and make it the best brokers that it can possibly be. And I think that's all attributable to agent ownership.
Super. And you had mentioned cloud brokerage. If somebody was listening to this or live with us right now and said, what exactly is a cloud brokerage? How would you elaborate on that?
Well, I think, people have come to understand for years that there's this idea of a virtual brokerage model, right? And I think, virtual models were born out of the fact that there is a relationship between revenues and fixed costs, expenses, rent, CAM charges, personnel, staffing, telephone systems, photocopiers, all of those things. There's a relationship which is susceptible to vulnerability particularly when in a downturn economically. And so, as your revenues go down because sellers can't sell, buyers can't get financing, there's less money coming in the door, but those expenses aren't going away. And I think for on a number of occasions, and most recently in 2007, 2008, it really put the pinch on brokerages and made it, if not impossible, certainly profitability became elusive. And so I think what we've done, what distinguishes us from a virtual model that addresses that financial concern, addresses that relationship, is we've been able to preserve all of the collaboration, all of the training, all of the socialization, all of the mentorship, all of that water cooler chat that agents really have come to appreciate. They like helping people, they like working with people, they like being around people, they like sharing what they know. And I think up until now, virtual models have not been able to accommodate that because you've either been isolated somewhere, faxing paperwork or emailing paperwork to someone whose name you don't know, who you're never going to speak with, who you're never going to get to know, you're never going to get to know the names of their children. And conversely, in our environment, we have conference room tables, we've got beachside lounge chairs, we've got outdoor spaces, we've got a productivity center, and we've got staff. And so our agents know people who are part of the company. They've really developed close personal bonds with them, professional bonds as well. And it really is distinguishable. It's much, much different than a virtual brokerage. In fact, we don't even use the word virtual when describing our company. We are a cloud brokerage, and we believe there's a world of difference.
Can you give folks a little bit of history about the company?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't really talk about the eXp Realty model without talking about Glenn Sanford, our founder and CEO. He's what brought me to eXp back in 2010. The fact that he's remarkably bright, very, very smart guy, entrepreneurial, thinking constantly of new ideas, but he's also very approachable. He's very humble. He is a mentor to everybody who wants to get to know him and work with him and sort of share and take his advice. But he got into the real estate business back in 2000, strictly based on what he knew at the time about the power of the internet to generate online leads. And back then, of course, he was really ahead of most others in recognizing this. But he had been a technology person since his teenage years. Had launched and run a number of different businesses, and really did not see himself getting into the space, but was compelled, incentivized, really dragged into the industry, because of what he was able to do in terms of generating online leads. And when he entered, he did it very effectively. He was the rookie of the year at his Prudential office back in 2002, I believe. At one point, he moved on to Keller Williams. He was 49th nationally out of tens of thousands of agents. Then he launched his own brokerage back in 2006, and that was Buyer Tours Realty. And it was a traditional brokerage. It had offices, it had rent, it had CAM charges, photocopiers, telephone systems, receptionists, all of the trappings of traditional model. And then when the market really came to a grinding halt in 2007, 2008, he came in and he said, we're going to change the way in which we do business radically if we want to stay in business and we want to prosper and survive and really excel going forward, because of that relationship between expenses and revenues. And so at that point, the model changed completely, because he recognized then that the technology existed where you could have all of the benefits of a virtual brokerage, but without compromising anything in the way of socialization, collaboration, support, and peer-to-peer mentorship and relationships. So that's really how the company was born back in, at that point, I can remember we had about 5 different states that were open when I joined in March of 2010. We've expanded tremendously since then, and each year has brought new and exciting achievements that our agents have propelled us to through their contributions. In 2011, we were included in a small group of brokerages recognized by the Swanepoel Trends Report as one of a company that really acknowledged the way in which the industry was shifting, and not just with respect to the economic conditions at the time or what had impacted the market, but the consumer profile had changed tremendously, right? So we recognized that, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But then in 2013, the Trends Report came out again, and there was a chapter that was devoted exclusively to the real estate office of the future. And it basically laid out several different options for brokerage owners who were in the business and who wanted to remain in the business going forward, and who wanted to be successful and who wanted to grow. And the first of these is what was called the big box model. And without going into too much detail, really sort of defined by large physical space with a large number of people, great culture, a lot of systems and options available for agents, and there were fees attached to these. And on the retail side, it was akin really to a Target superstore. And then somewhere in the middle between what we do and the big box model was what's called the real estate cafe style model. And that was a smaller physical footprint. Didn't have desks per se that someone could have theirs exclusively, but it was a drop-in space. It was a place to meet clients. However, if you're the brokerage owner, you were still tied to a geographic location, and your talent pool from which you could draw was generally going to be within a 15 or 30-mile radius. And so scaling outside of that geography became challenging. And then the third option was the cloud option and the pure cloud play. And eXp Realty was the only company that was mentioned in this part of the chapter. And on the retail side, there was an analogy drawn between our company and Amazon.com. And in some sense, we like to think that we're doing for real estate agents what Amazon has done for consumers and to books and to music.
And we're talking about, you had mentioned growth and expansion. What kind of people is eXp looking for as far as the growth and expansion across the country right now?
Well, you look at it, I mean, I think even, especially of late, we've got an Icon agent program. We may touch on that in a few minutes. But the agent ownership piece, I think, is something that really resonates with entrepreneurial professionals, people who are committed to the business, who really make it a career. They are in it full force, full time. They put everything they have into it, and they really want to excel in it. They want to remain relevant going forward. You know, there's a lot of discussion in the industry about the relevancy of the agent. And our agents believe that there's a role for them. We believe there's a role for them. We believe the consumer benefits by good customer service. So they're certainly committed to that. I think there's a collective willingness among everybody who's part of the company to sort of take a look at new platforms, new technologies, new systems that might help and enhance the business. Icons, you know, we've been able to attract some really top-notch people, tops in their market. You know, whether we're talking about Madison, Wisconsin, or Lafayette, Louisiana, or Southern California, I mean, we've just been able to bring over some great people. And I think also what we've seen is sort of the migration of teams, really high-producing teams, because we're not a franchise model, Brad. And so what that means is if you're running a team and you wish to scale it, outside of your own zip code or your own state, you can do that here, and you can do it without going and negotiating different caps or different fees or different policies with different offices. Everything is universal here across markets, and I think so for teams. The cloud campus in particular gives a place to sort of have meetings and get together and bring everybody together regardless of where they're located, but it also allows you to build your business outside of your own local area and have a real understanding and be able to depend upon a set of fees and caps and technologies and opportunities that we make available to everybody.
You had mentioned earlier, and I loved your analogy of, well, kind of using the scenario of the Amazon. I have a screen I actually want to share here, and I'm going to pop this up. But let's talk about the traditional brokerage model. I think was created back in the early 1900s. Obviously, they didn't have internet. They didn't have mobile devices. I think they were just working with buggy and horse and carriage. Talk a little bit more about this paradigm shift and maybe share a little bit on that.
Well, I think, the question becomes, what is the utility of the physical office? What purpose does it serve? And I think for a very long time, and not just in real estate, in just about any service industry, the physical office was essential, because without it, you really couldn't work side to side with your peers. You couldn't sort of be in a place and get messaging from the organization. You couldn't get back to the organization. The technology just didn't permit it. Today, and it's particularly true in real estate, the consumer, the person who ultimately the agent is serving, is not coming into the office. They are by and large out there online. More than 90% of them are starting their search there. And so you need to be able to find ways to get the business out there. You need to be able to add value in new and interesting ways. And it's not by having somebody come into your physical office space. And at the same time, I think top producing agents, I saw a study somewhere that was shared with me. I don't remember exactly the details, but basically, the folks who produced at the highest level in this industry aren't coming into the office. They're out there because the business is out there. And so how do you preserve the collaboration? How do you preserve the opportunity to network with your peers? In fact, how do you enhance it? Because today in most traditional offices, many traditional offices, there really isn't going to be anybody there. The only time people are walking in is to drop off a check, to maybe deliver a file. Maybe there's the occasional meeting with the client, and maybe there's a sales meeting that you come and you attend in person. But beyond that, I think the utility of it has diminished greatly, but the cost is still there. And so, for us, the paradigm shift is being able to eliminate those costs, being able to eliminate any inefficiencies, and be able to maybe, if not preserve, actually restore and augment the socialization and the sharing and the collaboration that exists and which once existed in the traditional model.
Everything you just shared really kind of goes over the benefits of a cloud brokerage. What other benefits do you find or see that you could tell people that we have in this cloud brokerage?
Well, there are the economic benefits for sure, and all of the efficiencies that we're talking about up to now are directly passed on to the agent. They make other things possible. There are opportunities available to our agents, to eXp agents, that aren't available elsewhere, because we have a cost structure that we do, because we're able to leverage technology in the way that we do. But certainly, in addition to that, there's a mobility that exists. I mean, you can conduct your business from anywhere. You can be in our office attending your class, and at the same time be physically on the beach on vacation with your family. You can, so the mobility is a big piece. I also think that on the education side, and I know we'll talk about, there's an approach to professional development and education that exists here that is really continuous and aimed towards implementation. You know, these aren't how do you go and get business in the new real estate industry. These are continuous. Here's what you can do today. You know, in order to implement this into your business and really grow your business. And I think that's an added benefit as well. We've got a technological support staff that to me is second to none. They are exclusively with us. They are helpful with digital marketing. They'll teach you SEO techniques. They'll tell you how to generate leads. They'll help you with any challenge you might have getting into the campus or getting a guest into the campus. They'll even help you with some hardware issues. I can remember being down in North Carolina to do a presentation from the cloud office, and we wanted to plug into a big screen television. And Kirk Johnson was right there to tell us how to do it. And so whether it's sorting spreadsheet data by columns or whatever issue you're running into, if you think about a traditional model and you think about maybe sometimes the unavailability or the difficulty in finding somebody who can provide you with tech support, it's just one example where we've got a great support team, great support system in place, and it's just not on the tech side. It's just not on the digital marketing side. It's on transaction management, transaction support. It's on administration, making sure that you're getting paid on time and as quickly as possible. And it's in terms of broker support as well.
Could you tell some of our listeners and viewers a little bit more about this, about the eXp education and training that we provide for agents and broker owners?
Yeah, so you know, it's such a deep topic that we could go into, right? But I think from the very beginning, and of course this all starts with Glenn at the top, but there has been a commitment to making sure that we're providing professional development opportunities for our agents. And for many years that was done just on a volunteer basis by our brokers and agents who had particular skill sets and particular areas of expertise that they would lend to all of our agents within the office. Within the cloud office. Back last year, right about a year ago, Brad, when you joined us, of course, your commitment to making sure that we made professional development opportunities available, not just to our agents, but we had a setting and an environment where anybody could feel welcome, regardless of their brokerage affiliation. That really was the inspiration behind our eTech campus. And so today, of course, we're having guest speakers in. We're having programs that are really geared towards the industry as a whole. And there's no pressure. There's no sales end of it from our side. We just want people to be able to access information which we think can help them and help their business and then help the industry as a whole overall. So there's been a steadfast commitment in that way, and it continues to evolve. One of the great things about operating in the way that we do is that we can draw upon the expertise and the talents of people regardless of where they're located. You know, there are people all over the place in different markets who love to share what they know. The generosity of the people who are in this industry continues to amaze me. But you know, they've taught either on general broad topics that are of critical importance to agents, or they've taught on very narrow and specific topics. And if you're geographically separated by 1,000 miles from somebody, you may not have the opportunity to participate in that learning. You may not benefit from that information. But using our cloud campus, we'll be able to pull in these people increasingly from all over, and they'll be sharing what they know, and our agents will be benefiting as a result. And I think we'll soon have a calendar that is around the clock and full of information, training and classes nonstop from different corners of the globe.
I kind of see our whole environment being in the cloud and everything more as a global networking opportunity, because as you said, you get to draw upon the resources, the wisdom, the knowledge and experience from other real estate pros from all around the world. You know, I joined the company primarily because of the people, only to find out everything else that's a huge benefit. I joined the company, as you said, because of Glenn Sanford and yourself. Could you share a little bit about what other support systems, and in particular the staff that is offered in place for agents and brokers at eXp?
Well, I think you can summarize it very briefly, right? We talked about the tech staff, we talked about transaction support, we talked about admin. Those are sort of the the easy ones to identify. But I think if you're an agent and you're listening to this, imagine, if you will, what the impact would be on your business. If you owned the brokerage, right? But apart from that, if you at any point in time, from wherever you're located, could turn on your computer, put on a headset, and enter into an immersive world where you could meet with agents who are 3,000 miles away and who knew you knew them, and who were more than happy to help you by providing a tip on how you may value a particular piece of property that's got a particular issue attached to it, how you may approach a listing consultation, how you may deal with a multiple bid situation, whatever it might be. There is no shortage of people who are willing to help. And that extends from our brokers right down to the agent owner who joined us 2 weeks ago. And I think if you start to put it in that light, if you start to think about what would the impact be on your business if you had continuous access to these people through a number of different channels, and you really felt like you were sitting across a table from them at any point in time, how big would your business get? What would be the opportunity for growth of your personal business? We think it's phenomenal. Our agents think it's phenomenal. We've seen some great results through that collaboration. And so I think more than anything, that's what excites. I know it excites you. It certainly excites me, and I think it's something that just continues to build as we go forward.
What would you say to maybe a small, maybe a boutique type, or even a medium type brokerage? Is there opportunity for them at eXp?
Yeah, we've seen that, and I'll give you an example. So in Atlanta, Georgia, Ian Marshall joined us. He had an independent brokerage back in 2013. Came over with 17 agents. Today he's got well over 100 just in the Atlanta metro area. But more importantly, or more compelling, I think, is that he's been able to build his team now outside of Atlanta, outside of Georgia, into states like Tennessee, into Florida, into Texas. And he's been able to do that without going and getting licensed in those states. He's been able to do it without going and signing leases. He's been able to do it without hiring staff in any of those places. And he knows that he's got a support system in place that will allow him to plug people in who join his team into a system of training, education, professional development, and support that he doesn't have to go and build. He doesn't have to go and identify what it is that might help his agents compete. He doesn't have to invest in systems, because we're evaluating the systems and the technologies on a consistent basis, and we're identifying those which we think are going to help our agents the most. So a brokerage owner doesn't, with eXp, doesn't have to go and learn by error, right? Make mistakes in investments that ultimately don't yield results. They don't have to do that. In addition, I think that there are opportunities, to dispense with those duties that perhaps are not the most appealing to a brokerage owner, right? I mean, you may love balancing a trust account, but you may not. You may love reviewing files, but you may not like reviewing files. You may like just inspiring your agents and getting them excited about things and bringing out the best in them, but at the same time, you may not. You may like the fact that you pour everything into an agent that joins your office and you teach them everything you know, and 3 months later they get up and they go join somebody else, and basically you've gone ahead and you've groomed and cultivated your competition. You may like that, but you may not, and we think we've got a solution to that as well. So I think more than anything, though, you can cut out those expenses, you can eliminate those rental expenses and the staffing, and you can build in a way that you otherwise wouldn't be able to without any sort of geographic boundary.
Yeah, I met with Ian Marshall yesterday, actually, in the Cloud Campus area, and we were talking about all the different products and services, and we were talking especially about conversion, because there's a pretty big cost tied to that, and I know eXp provides that to all of our agents and brokers. If you could you just talk a little bit about the tools and services that eXp offers to support in helping agents and brokers be more successful, like
Sure.
conversion?
Yeah, so conversion's a great example. I think unofficially, just based on my perception, I think it's fast becoming one of the most popular and embraced technologies in the industry today for lead generation, for lead nurturing. It's a IDX CRM pay-per-click system, all built into one, a beautiful website platform. It's got 24/7 chat assistance, and as you mentioned, typically in the open market, it's going to cost anywhere, I think, beginning around $400 for a setup, and then $400 a month thereafter on average. I may have the numbers off just a little bit, but we're providing that to every single person at eXp at no charge. And then with that, they can go and they can initiate lead generation campaigns both on the list side and on the buy side at a fraction of the cost that they might otherwise pay with platforms such as, well, I won't name them, but there are certainly other platforms that are rather pricey, effective, but we think conversion is very effective. And we've had agents join us because they too believe it's very effective. We had a gentleman join us recently who's generated 16,000 leads using conversion. He's closing he and his team are closing transactions at a rate of about 1 per day. He attributes much of that success to conversion. So imagine finding a brokerage that embraces the same systems and technologies that have resulted in such great success for you, and so there's an alignment there. And in addition, you get to save a little bit of money on the infrastructure. So conversion's been great, but it's not the only example. There's a lot of discussion about consumer reviews of agent performance. We personally think reviews are important internally with the company. We can talk about that a little bit, but for agents who want to go out there and they want to send surveys to their clients, there's a great product out there called Real Satisfied, typically going to cost somebody about $100 a month. Again, all of our agents are going to get it for free. Transaction management, SkySlope. We find, and our agents are finding, that it's a great platform for them to use to manage their transactions, to obtain digital signatures, to fax, email, or text into the file directly. It's got a great user interface, and so we elicit feedback from our agents on the systems that we use, what they think would be most helpful, and then we try to find a way to make them work and put them into place as part of the organization.
You had mentioned lead generation, and we all know that that's kind of the universal real estate language. Tell us a little bit about the Making It Rain program. I find that to be very effective, and it's a great tool that agents have the option of. But what is Making It Rain, Jason?
Well, I think it's a way to generate leads that are every bit as valuable as the leads that people are paying for through third-party data aggregators, but to do so at a fraction of the cost, right? I mean, I think Glenn in particular, through some service on the Move Advisory Board, has become familiar with what the costs are, what the terms of subscriptions are with popular third-party portals. Because of his background in lead generation, because of his longstanding advocacy for the agent, he believed that we could do this, and we could do it at a much lesser cost. We can do it without having agents share leads with other agents, without having to share leads and compete for them in their own zip code. So Making It Rain really is a bit of an extension of our commitment to lead generation. It first took the form of education, right? How do you generate leads yourself? How do you implement long tail searches or SEO techniques that are going to get you leads organically? How do you do it? Here's how you do it. Go do it, and you can generate the leads. Next, it was conversion, the next iteration of that, right? We've got an infrastructure in place where you can, through some work, generate a large number of high quality leads and be very, very successful. Having said all of that, you can provide the education and you can provide the systems, but there are going to be agents who will still, for whatever reason, their skill set is best utilized out in the field, interacting with consumers on a personal basis. For whatever reason, they won't utilize the systems, or they won't implement what they learn, and so they want the campaigns run on their behalf. And so Making It Rain is an opportunity for us corporately to run lead generation campaigns on behalf of our agents, that their leads exclusively. The costs are they're not onerous, they're not exploitative at all. I mean, you can get in for as low as $100 a month. You can go up to $500 a month, but we're generating high quality leads that our agents can benefit from. There's no additional split that the company takes if a transaction closes as a result, but it's really out of the interest of the agent, providing lead generation opportunities to them without paying what we believe are exorbitant fees.
I wanted to bring up something, because it's one thing, had mentioned these tools: Conversion, SkySlope, Real Satisfied, Breakthrough Broker, the mobile apps, all these great tools. And many brokerages and companies provide great tools. Where I think we stand out a little bit ahead of the pack is we don't just provide the tool, we provide the training, the education, the support to make sure that the tool is effective and they work. So it goes beyond just handing somebody, here's Conversion, here's their SkySlope, but we take it to the next level of, now you have the tool, let us show you how it works. You also mentioned that, I like this, I like the idea of my office is available right from my laptop. I can go into my cloud office and I can access staff, I can access people, I can collaborate, attend education. But we know for a fact, Jason, and I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier, that agents are in the sellers' homes trying to get listings. They're in the buyers, working with buyers trying to sell properties. And then if they're not in the seller's house or working with a buyer, they're probably in their own home trying to have a life. So for the person out there that says, my mindset is on the bricks and mortar, I have to have a place to go. Do you have an alternate solution for somebody that says, what if I need a conference room and the title company is not available, or Starbucks is busy or too noisy, or my lender's conference room is not available? What would you say to somebody that says, I need a space to get some work done?
Yeah, I think, if you look at our cloud environment now, we've got people who are going in there on the weekends, right? I mean, we have birthday parties in there, we have baby showers in there, I mean, I think that's the thing that surprises people, is that once they get in there, they just see how vibrant and engaging it is. And really, I think surpasses any office experience that's going to exist professionally. Nonetheless, I think if the mindset is on the physical bricks and mortar, may not be the best fit. However, we recognize that there are times where you need a place to plug in, you need a place to meet a client, you need access to a day office, or you need access to a conference room. And so we, several years ago, and I think we were the first national company to do this, formed an alliance with Regus Office Centers. And if you're not familiar with Regus, there's several thousand locations around the globe. And when eXp agents join the company, they get a card that gives them access at no charge to any Regus office location, business lounge, anywhere in the world. And the business lounges, you've probably been in a couple of them, Brad, but they look different from location to location, but they're oftentimes unoccupied. You can go, you can get a cup of coffee, you can plug in, you can meet with somebody, you can make phone calls, you can make photocopies, and more than that, you really get to network with independent business owners who are occupying other spaces within the Regus location, because it's a co-working space. And so even if you were in a traditional real estate office and you had 40 agents in there every day, chances are you're not going to get business from any particular one of them. I mean, you might get a referral internally, somehow, but for the most part, these people are doing the same thing you're doing. They're going out there, they're trying to get the business. At Regus, you get to immerse yourselves in a group of people who are maybe architects or engineers, lawyers, whoever they might be. They know people, and they themselves have needs within the real estate space, and so it's an opportunity to get to know people there as well. So the card gives everybody access to the business lounges, and then it also provides for discounts for day offices and conference rooms, as you mentioned. So we do make that available to all of our agents.
Let's start. I want to dive into kind of the benefits, and if an agent or a broker or somebody was looking at this and saying, well, what is the difference? Why is eXp's model unique? You've shared a lot of great information on that. Can we go ahead and talk a little bit about the cost, the setup fees, the financial structure, so that agents that are really wanting to do their due diligence and kind of compare side by side where they're at, what they have, their existing versus what we're offering. Can we talk to that a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. And catch me if I miss anything, but in relation to what you get in the value, I mean, the fee structure is remarkably low. So the cost of entry into eXp is about $49. And for that, you get business cards, you get presentation folders. Then we're not a franchise, so there's no franchise fee, there's no royalty. There's a $50 per month technology fee. And so for that, you're going to get conversion, you're going to get Real Satisfied, you're going to get your premium Google applications, you're going to get SkySlope, you're going to get Breakthrough Broker, you're going to get the Open House app. You're going to get all of these things and more. You're going to get access to Regus. And so let's put that in perspective. $50 a month, and we said conversion alone typically is going to run about $395 a month. So there's a tremendous amount of value that agents get for that technology fee. On the first transaction of each year, the company takes out $420 prior to the split. That's our university tuition. Really allows us to continue to build and enhance curriculum and professional development opportunities to bring in outside speakers. So that's the first transaction each year, and again, it's prior to the split. So I think the net to the agent is about $334. Our cap, in other words, the amount that an agent pays in before they go to a cap status or the 100% status. With us, it's $16,000. So as soon as you do $80,000 in gross commission income, the 20% that we take adds up to $16,000. At that point, you go to 100% less a capped status transaction fee of $250 that kicks in only at that point. I said the 20% because the split is 80-20. It's a true 80-20. It's it's not 80 less a 6% franchise fee. It's 80%. Everybody starts at 80%, and then when they hit that $16,000 in company commission dollar, they go to 100% less the cap status transaction fee. All other fees to be mentioned and explored would be $25 broker review on each transaction, $30 for errors and omissions insurance on each transaction, and that caps out at $500 for the year, by the way. And I think the $30 is slightly higher in California, might be $40. And really, that's about it that comes to mind on the fees. And so we think for the value, I think it's terrific. Might have to edit that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, that's great. There's one of the things I'd love to really visit is something very unique that I think we offer, and I'm not sure if any other model even offers this, but I think our revenue share program is amazing. Can you talk a little bit about the revenue share opportunity that eXp has available?
Well, it's a pretty exciting opportunity. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before, but it really, more than anything, it is the example to me of opportunity that exists that otherwise wouldn't be available because of the way in which we operate, because of the technology, because of the cost structure. We're able to pay out a very aggressive gross revenue sharing program. And so I think you've got a slide up there, Brad, and I'm going to just see if I can pull it up here too. But if we start at the center column, and we'll try to go through just sort of the reasoning behind it, right? And I see there we've got a column in the center that says active personally recruited agents, FLQR, which stands for frontline qualifying recruit. Really, I like to look at it and sort of phrase it as a question. And the question would be, how many people do I need to introduce to eXp in order to qualify for exponential share, which is the column that's immediately right of center. And you can see that that's a set of percentages: 3.5, 3.8, 2.4, 1.4, 0.9. If we take exponential share, those are percentages of gross commission income, and we contrast, you still there, Brad? Hello?
Hey, are you there?
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, we lost you. We lost you. A little bit of your audio. It might be your internet connection. No worries. So I'm going to go ahead and share that screen again. You were talking about the difference between the. Here, let me just pull up the screen.
And you can, if you've got it on a continuous, you can maybe just cut that out. So so revenue sharing to me, Brad, really is the best example of technology creating opportunity that otherwise wouldn't exist, right? Because we operate in the way that we do, because our cost structure is as it is, we're able to offer this opportunity that really is not available in a traditional model. But let's start at the center column here, and we'll try to explain some of the reasoning behind it. So active personally recruited agents, I like to say, in the form of a question, how many people do I need to introduce directly into the company in order to qualify for, and if we move one column over to the right, exponential share, which you'll see as a percentage. These are percentages of gross commission income: 3.5%, 3.8, 2.4, 1.4. What do I need to do? How many people do I need to introduce to qualify for that? And exponential share can be contrasted with expansion share. You'll see on the left of center, smaller set of percentages, but again, of gross commission income. So back to our question, how many people to get the larger percentage? And this has been true from day one. It's true today. It'll be true tomorrow. The answer is just one. And so as an example, if I were to introduce you, Brad, into the company, and you did a transaction with a $10,000 gross commission income, just for sake of computation simplicity, I would earn 3.5% or $350 on that transaction as a result of your production. And I'm going to earn that 3.5% on every transaction you do until you cap for the year, until you pay in that $16,000 in company commission dollar, and then it suspends until you reset. Now let's say that, Brad, you go ahead and you introduce Bill, and Bill does a transaction. You're going to get the 3.5% of the gross commission income. I'm going to get, and I'm looking now at the expansion column level 2, I'm going to earn 0.2% of the gross commission income on what Bill does, unless, in addition to introducing you, Brad, I've introduced Mo, Larry, Curly, Sally, and Harry. And so now I've introduced 5 or more people. In response to the question, I've introduced 5 or more people, which means second level production. You see that 5 plus there. When Bill goes and does that transaction, or when anybody else does a transaction that's at my second level, I'm going to earn that 0.2% in expansion share, but I'm also going to earn 3.8% in exponential shares, for 4% in total, which means when Bill does that transaction, again, we'll use $10,000 in gross commission income as the number. I'm going to earn $400 every time until Bill caps, or until anybody at my second level caps. And that's really how the chart plays out. As you can see, it goes down 7 levels. There's an opportunity for a full 5% on 7th level production. And when you start thinking about the absence of boundaries, the way in which you can grow a team across markets, you can see a situation where you're earning significant revenues off of production by building a team wherever good people are. I think we've got a slide here as well. You can just put it up. That sort of puts this into whole numbers, right? So if you're not thinking about the percentages, let's take a look at this, because this really demonstrates what a capped or a capping agent, someone who does the 80,000 in gross commission income, pays in the 16,000 in company commission dollar. What is that worth to you as sponsor, directly or indirectly sponsor? And so somebody who you bring in directly, they're a capper. That 3.5% is going to add up to $2,800 per year to you. Second level, somebody, Bill would be worth, if he capped, $3,200 a year to me, as would anybody else on my second level, which is a beautiful thing, by the way, because it means that I'm going to help you, Brad, build your organization. I'm going to help you go out and get Bill. And then you can follow it down. You can see how the numbers sort of play out for capping agents. But the thing about this, and I think we've probably got some examples, today, as young as we are, as fast as we're growing, but we got a long way to go. We've got people who are earning 5 figures per month in revenue sharing, just by virtue of sharing the opportunity. They're not out there actively setting aside their business to go and get people, but they're running into people who are good people and who want to know more, want to understand why what we do is different, what agent ownership means, and they are attracted into the model. And as a result, we've got people who are making a lot of money on a monthly basis now. We've got people who are making smaller amounts, $40, $300, $6,000, whatever it might be. But I'll tell you this, going forward over the next 3 to 5 years, we are optimistic and confident that we will be helping agents in a lot of different places build businesses, a component of which will be a recurring annual revenue stream in the 6 figures, and in some cases in the 7 figures too.
Yeah, Jason, I've heard a lot of people refer to our revenue share plan and model as almost like a retirement plan or an exit strategy. And I know we'll be talking about the publicly traded side of eXp Realty and how stock can be awarded. Can you go over a little bit of the revenue share? I pulled up a slide here, which is a scenario using the revenue share calculator that I know we'll share at the end. But can you just give a scenario of how this would work?
Yeah, and so people can find this calculator and they can put their own numbers in. They can be as conservative as they'd like or as aggressive as they'd like with their assumptions. You can go to join.exprealty.com to find this. But basically, at the top of the line there, you see revenue estimates, and we're going to say, on average, the folks that are in your organization, whether they're your first level, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh, on average, what are they doing in terms of production? And so we put in some assumptions here. 12 transactions a year looks like $250,000 per transaction, and 2.5% commission on average. We'll say these are just assumptions. We know some agents are going to be doing more or less, but on average, that's how it plays out. And it looks here, if we go down to the next section of the calculator, you'll see level 1 there. How many people have you introduced directly? So in this example, 10 people have been introduced directly. Who are doing 12 transactions, 250,000 each, 2.5%, and each of those have brought in 2, and each of those have all brought in 2 as well. And without even getting into the successive levels or how the organization might build out in the future, this here is worth 161,000 in passive, largely passive income to the person whose organization this reflects. I say largely passive because sponsorship is an ongoing thing. It doesn't really end when somebody joins. I mean, there's a commitment to really help the person succeed, to support them, and so that that type of commitment, when demonstrated and when carried out, really yields this type of success. And the numbers get much larger. So I think on the next slide here, we've got the same revenue assumptions. But we've doubled the number of agents in the first level, so 220 people directly, 5, each of whom introduced 5, each of those all introduced 5, and with 20 directly, I think we've unlocked revenue share here now at the 4th level. But you can see here that this extends into the 7 figures. These are real numbers. We believe these numbers are attainable and will be attained by people in the organization who are with us today, and some who will join us tomorrow. But you mentioned retirement. I think it's something that has really been the Gordian knot of the industry for a number of years, and it takes a great deal of discipline and a great deal of success to be able to pay your bills, feed your family, manage your lifestyle, have a little bit of recreation and enjoyment, pay your bills, set aside money for your taxes, and then to focus on retirement on top of that. I think that can be a challenging thing for people to do. So the revenue sharing piece is one piece that we think really sort of helps in that way.
How can agents and brokers build their ownership and their interest in eXp or earn shares through the company?
Right. So when agents join us, there's a couple of different things. One is through just performance. I mentioned at the beginning, I think that just by doing what good agents are going to do anyway, they're going to earn shares of the public company, parent company, which trades under the symbol EXPI. So agent joins us and they close their first transaction of the year. Right now, they're going to earn 100 shares of stock. If they cap, they're going to earn, I think right now we're still at 1,000 shares of stock. And when they bring somebody else on board and that person closes their transaction, their first transaction, the sponsor will earn an additional 1,000 shares per stock. Now, I said right now 1,000. I'll get into that in a second. Note though that there are 3-year vesting periods attached to each of those awards, the performance-based awards. So you've got to stay with the company in good standing for 3 years. And on the agent attraction piece, both the sponsor and the agent who joins have to stay with the company for 3 years, and then those shares are fully vested. One of the things that we did in the first 2 years that we had these performance-based equity programs is we really tied them to calendar years. So here was the 2014 plan, here was the 2015 plan. And then at the end of last year, we decided we were going to sort of lay it out prospectively going forward so that our agents could see how the stock awards were going to play out as we continue to grow. And so once you'll see, I think on the chart, once we hit 1,000 agents, then the awards for capping and for attracting agents drop down to 750. I think once we get to 1,500 agents, they drop down to 500. And the beauty of this is if we do our job well, as we continue to bring people in and as those agent numbers are reached, we'll continue to grow. And in theory, and certainly this is what we hope for and intend, even though we're giving fewer shares at those points in time, the economic benefit could be significantly larger, if not equal, right? Because a year ago we were trading at 17 cents. Today we're trading at 75 cents, which means that if we had given you 1,000 shares at 17 cents a year ago, it would be worth less than 750 shares would be worth today at 75 cents. And so I think in this way we're able to preserve and enhance the opportunity for people who join us tomorrow, but at the same time offer something special and recognize the efforts of all those who've been with us up until now and who have gotten us to this point.
Can you talk a little bit about the direct purchase program? I think that's a huge piece to this.
Absolutely. So, I mentioned that we're not a franchise model, so there is no royalty. And I think in many models, in many organizations, there are agents who just sort of have come to accept the fact that they're going to be paying 5%, 6%, 7% on every transaction in the form of a franchise fee. They're not exactly sure what they get for that, but they know it's there and they know they can't really escape it. And so they're just, it is what it is. We don't have that. And so what we have instead is an opportunity for agents, only if they want to, they can elect to set aside 5% of their commission dollars towards the purchase of company stock at a discount, 20% discount to market based on the 30-day trailing average. And so in contrast to the perception of many relative to franchise fees, this is something that the agent can do that really benefits them, and they can build their equity stake. And that really becomes the second piece to solving the retirement riddle. Building an equity stake in the company that continues to grow over time and which hopefully appreciates in value and is really an asset that's worth quite a bit going forward. And we have some stories. I shared one with you yesterday, I think, about the power of that and the benefit that some have received already. And so it's pretty exciting stuff.
How, let's talk about the NPS score. How has the Net Promoter Score, how has that impacted eXp's model and brand?
Well, it really, I don't know about the brand, but I think it's demonstrative of the company's commitment to making sure that we give our customer the very best experience that they can possibly have, that they are delighted with their experience with eXp. Now, who's our customer? It's the agent and the owner, the agent broker, agent owner, shareholder, and broker. And the nice thing is, there are a lot of companies where, the shareholders' interests aren't always necessarily aligned with the interests of those who are at the company, with the customer's interests. But here, our shareholders and our customers are one and the same, and so the interests are perfectly aligned. And so we really look to make sure that they're having the best experience they possibly can. And I think that's always been true. But NPS, Net Promoter System, really is a way for us to formalize that. And so once each quarter, and I think we'll use it in new and growing ways going forward at every point in the agent's life cycle, every transaction or after they onboard. But once a quarter right now, we ask all of our agents one simple question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to promote eXp Realty to somebody else in the industry? Our scores have been great. They've really been, if you look at the studies on NPS, we are very well positioned for great growth. And typically, companies that utilize the NPS and utilize it well, they're going to grow faster than their peers within the industry. But what it really does for us is that for those who aren't maybe at the 8 or 9, or even those who are but who want to offer some commentary, it's a formal mechanism through which we can collect feedback and take action in response to improve the experience on a continuous basis. We talked about SkySlope. The predecessor to SkySlope for the agents wasn't a great experience. We got some feedback through the NPS about people who would spend hours trying to upload a document into the system, who couldn't really navigate the interface. It was clunky. It wasn't modern or efficient for them. And so we changed it. We took action. We have the program you just mentioned, the 5% towards the purchase of company stock at a discount. Really excited about the program. Unveiled it. People signed up, enrolled. And then the questions started to come in the NPS. Gee, I really wish I could find out how many shares I owned. Of course, you want to know that. I mean, it's a perfectly reasonable thing, but the NPS puts it right in front of us. And the next thing you know, within a couple of weeks, we have built a dashboard through which each of our agents can go and they can see their holdings. So it's a really important piece, and I think it's probably what we focus on more than anything else.
So for anybody that's with us right now, or that's watching this, or joining the session late, they like what they've heard, they're interested, they've done their due diligence, they've done their comparison, they believe they're right for the culture. Could an interested agent or a broker go to get more information, even apply or join the company?
So if they go to join.exprealty.com, there will be some tabs on the right-hand side. There are a number of different options there. You can get more information. You can use the calculators, including the revenue share calculator that we went to. We have a brokerage comparison calculator. We have a team calculator there. But you can also apply to be an agent with the company. And so you fill out a short questionnaire, and that will trigger an onboarding process that starts with evaluation by our managing broker in the market that you're in. We'll generate some signing documents, and assuming it's a good fit for both sides, that will really get the ball rolling. But that's a good place to start. And I would say for those who might be watching who are interested in the public company side, of course, everything is openly available for review, and all of our filings, you can find those at investors.exprealty.com. And we really like where we've come with our consumer-facing website as well. We're now in close to 80 markets, I think, in different parts of North America, and we've got a great consumer website that harnesses all of that, and that can be located at exprealty.com.
Jason, thank you for your time today. I know how busy you are. I know you stopped in the middle of some projects you're working on today so you could spend some time with me to do this interview. Just want to say thank you. It's always an honor and a privilege to get to spend any time with you whatsoever. I do enjoy seeing you in the cloud on a regular basis, but I thought bringing this out to the world through a Google Hangout, something we could do where people who don't have time to maybe get into the space, they can get a feel for who you are, who I am, what our company's about. And if there is an interest, now they can dig a little bit deeper and consider joining us. Thanks so much for taking time to do this with me today.
Always enjoy speaking with you, Brett. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day, my friend.
All right, you too.